Yo, YouTube, Mr. T here, and today we're going to be talking about something very interesting. The elections in Belgium were a few months ago, and our new minister, the the minister van Onderwijs, or the minister of Education, is called Zuhal Demir. And the first things, and I just witnessed the first effects of her new educational agenda called inter, interlevensbeschouwelijke dialoog. It is a new effort from our government to let people from different beliefs work together and discuss different topics. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do not follow Christian or Islam or anything. I'm a free thinker, but in our country we call it NCZ, and it's very interesting. And my teacher from NCZ, she was so kind as to give me the all the different topics we talked about in interlevensbeschouwelijke dialoog. And I'm gonna just and instead of being pissed that I didn't get enough time because there are only 100 minutes to discuss all these topics. We didn't go over every topic. And so I couldn't voice my opinion, which you guys already know. My opinion is something that's very important to me. So instead of going to my teacher and complaining even more about how I have an opinion and I want to out it, I'm just going to bore you guys with my opinion because that's what I do. So we're just gonna go over all sentences, and we're gonna see where that gets us. All right. The first one is people who believe something stand stronger in difficult moments in their life. This is one of the, I think, four we actually did in class. And there were a lot of people who sat on the side no. So there was a circle and you needed to go and sit on the yes or no side, even though I asked multiple times, and I will tell them when I did, if I could go and sit in the middle. You can't. You just couldn't, which I think is very disappointing because sometimes you do need a middle ground. But no worries. I was on the agree side. So I do agree that people who believe, even though I am an atheist, I do think people who believe um, are stronger in hard times because they have something to rely on, something all powerful, all good to rely on. And I think that can be a big help if you struggle with something or if you are going through some hard times. All right, the next one is each form of abortion is murder. So the reasoning why this was asked, why this was one of the things we needed to discuss, was because there is a lot of things going around in the internet about it, mainly with the state with some states in America banning abortion. And if you said on the I agree side, it means that you are no, if you are on the agree side, if you're on the non-agree side, so if you disagree that all abortion is murder, you think that abortion should be allowed, and if you're not, then you should think abortion should be restricted. But we changed the thing a bit to actually say no abortion is murder. So which means that if you sat on the agree side, no, you think there is not a single way in which abortion should be considered murder. Now, I'm personally, my opinion is that there are cases in which abortion is murder when a child, but that was one of the arguments they gave, is yes, but the child um, doesn't comprehend anything, and so it's just a living thing, but it doesn't have a life, so it doesn't matter if you kill it or not. And I just personally think, I think you abortion should be something legal, and personally I don't think I can make a decision on it, but I can voice my opinion, and my opinion is that abortion, it should be legal, except when the baby has already developed enough so that it can either live independent of the mother outside the womb with the necessary medical care, or B, when the baby receives sounds and impulses. Because, and that's something I thought that was weird, babies do receive, they do hear things through the womb without extra, like without like big boxes where like big stereos full of sound, or like headphones on the belly or something. No, they can receive, they hear their mother's voice talking constantly. That's also the reason why babies know who is their parent, and not just like birds pop out and the first body person they look at, that's their parents. No, that's why babies know who's their parent, because they hear them talk all the time. um, and there was a lot of backlash, and this was one of the moments where I wanted to sit in the middle, because yes, abortion should be legal, but also yes, sometimes it's murder. So I wanted to sit in the middle because I couldn't agree on either side, and then I agreed a bit, and so I should sat just next to the middle, and then they said, no, you either agree or you disagree, you can't sit. There wasn't a spectrum, which I think was the biggest bullshit ever. Because what? How is there not a spectrum? The entire thing, the entire thing of this is that the fact that there is a spectrum. So I completely disagree. If you didn't notice already, I completely disagree about on the system of how they play this, how they did this. All right. Next up is one of the ones that we didn't cover in class. So I'm just gonna quickly out my opinion for the first time. Um, And actually, I did talk with my teacher about this subject a little bit, mainly because I asked, why didn't we do this? This is also something that's covered in the media. And I will read your sentence, and then I will explain why we didn't do this. So the sentence is, Jews have a right to Palestine because it's their promised land. And she said, yes, this is indeed a sentence and statement that is going around in media a lot, but we didn't do it because most people didn't know the background information on Palestine, or didn't voice an opinion. And so I said, I know the background information, and I can make you know the background information, because there's one YouTuber, and we're going to look up his channel real quick. And he's actually a very good YouTuber. He is you could see him as a successor of Oversimplified. It's things I care about. And things I care about basically is the new Oversimplified. And he made the origin of the Israel-Palestine conflict, and he doesn't take any stance on it. He isn't pro-Israel, pro-Palestine. Um, so that's a very, very nice way to interpret this. Now, of course, you're here to hear my opinions on this thing. Personally, I also again view it from two sides. Like, the first side is a completely legal, non-ethical side, and it's the fact that Palestine did indeed this time attack first, with or without any real reason why. I'm not going to comment on that, but they did attack first, so I think it's perfectly normal that Israel decided to attack again. Yet they shouldn't have gone all out, and they don't need to launch phosphor bombs across their cities or kidnap anybody. So once again, the both sides are at fault. Palestine, because they attacked, and because they're not a country, it's just a terrorist group who rules Gaza. So Palestine is involved because they attacked somebody, Israel, but Israel is also involved because they keep escalating this conflict. Um, I personally also think that Israel, the Jews, do not have a right to this land more than Christians or Muslims do, because what most people think is a right to the land is because it's their promised land. And while yes, that's true, in the Hebrew Bible it says it's their promised land, but so does the Muslims. The Muslims claim the entire world is their promised land. Should we then just give the entire world to Muslims? I don't think so. Me personally, I wouldn't do that. And the Christians also think the Jerusalem, which is in Israel, um, is their promised land. So how about we create a third state there to create even more chaos? And actually, I think personally that Christians have the second best claim. I think the Jews only have the third best claim on the Israel. First of all, if you just look at history, um, Jerusalem was conquered pretty much immediately after the Roman Empire fell by Muslims, and it only switched hands when Christians attacked and made it the Kingdom of Jerusalem. So I think Israel doesn't really have a reason to exist there, and the only reason it exists is because the British divided their mandate of Palestine into Palestine and Israel, because Hitler said Jews were bad people because they didn't run states. And I personally think that it would have been better if we made this state in like Polish Germany, and with I mean Silesia, Salzburg. There, it was a plan put forward by the Soviets and the Americans, but the British said no, we will just give up some land instead of making the Germans even angrier. So I think that's like a reason, that an option that would have been better. So unfortunately, this is actually a late effect of colonialism slash WW2. But again, I get why we didn't do this in school, because no one actually has a clear and structured opinion. Nobody actually has a clear or structured opinion on anything at my school for some reason. So the next statement I don't really have an opinion about is about Islam. It says in Islam, women are being oppressed. I really don't have an opinion. I don't know enough, first of all, about Islam, and second of all, how Islam actually is in practice. Because from what I know of other religions, the what the book says and what happens in practice is really sometimes really different. The only thing I can say is that they cover a lot of their skin, and personally, I don't see any problem with this. There's a problem that's been made by that. There was made a problem. And next up is one we discussed, and one which I defended heavily, and I wish we had more time to discuss. And it is, in children's books, should only traditional families should be showed. So no families with two mothers or two fathers, no families with the divorced or reconstructed families with two divorced families, none of that. And I want you guys to know that I am not against families with two mothers, families with two fathers, families with divorced people. I don't care. Me personally, my parents are divorced, so I live in two reconstructed families, and sometimes it has been very hard for me. And that's actually something that I bonded with one of my classmates, and she gained my respect. She's one of the five new kids in our class this year. None of them I respect except for her now. I do have respect for her, and respect is earned. Personally, I think you start with respect, but it's lost really quick, and then it's earned not that fast. And they all lost respect really quickly, but she re-earned it, which is something that doesn't occur a lot. And it is because she told me yes. I think because she agreed and disagreed with me in the same time. So I said, I don't think this is a need, because I don't think you should indoctrinate the youth like children books are presented to children from when they're born. So you basically give an idea of how society is, while it's not, still the majority of society is just heterosexual. And I think that should remain like this, because I think you, if a child, if a person is really part of the LGBTQAI plus community, they will always follow suit. They will always follow that path. But I think if you read to a child again and again and again that he is this or he could be, I think a child will then go that way while they actually shouldn't or wouldn't go. And I think that is something that just pains me a lot, because I think that's not, as a society, what we should be doing to our children. And I think if you then need to just because someone answered them with yes, but then we're indoctrinating them with with heterosexual ideas, and I think yes. But if we should be indoctrinating them with anything, we should be indoctrinating them with the way how nature works. It's just a fact that nature exists between female and male, and that they're meant to be put together. Regardless of that, is the only way that's allowed. I think it's not. It should be allowed to have any kind of a gender or sexual preference. But I just think that if we're indoctrinating our children with anything, it shouldn't be something a natural, something that is threatening our existence. Because if everybody was gay, human race wouldn't exist. Simple as that. Um, but you said yes. I completely agree with you about like not including LGBTQAI plus. But I'm from a divorced family, and it was hard for me. What do I do? How do you say it? And I said yes. And for me too, completely. I totally feel you. But what I mean is that if you indoctrinate your children, even with that divorce is an option, they will start jumping into marriages, making children, and then divorcing them, leaving their children most of the time with traumas, which isn't good. By the way, having a trauma as a child isn't nice. If that wasn't like entering your brain, it isn't nice. So even then, I don't think we should actually give this option to our children, because they will know. That's just something they said yes, but if we don't let them show it them, it won't become an option for them, and it would, because in my youth I never came into contact with this shit, and now I'm in the fifth year of high school, and I know a lot about it because I met people because they were in my class. In every class there is this kind of people. You can't really evade it, like, at all. So that's also something most people say, yeah, you don't come in contact with, but that is not true. You will always, period. So I think we should just try to put the status quo as the natural, and then but allow the unnatural to happen. The next one that we discussed was belief keeps people stupid. And actually, a fun thing is that now everybody was seated on the side of I do not agree. So when everybody was on the same side, which in this time happened, the teacher who teaches Christianity, he went into the debate room because you needed to debate it with four, two from each side. He went to sit there. And so someone said, and I said, well, you know what? I join them. I join you. And he started talking, and he made the mishap. And one of the other teachers of NCZ is actually my history teacher from previous years. So she know, and when he said it, she looked at me from like, oh shit, you fucked up, bro. And I said, and he said, yes. So it does keep dumb, stupid, because have you ever heard about the Dark Middle Ages? And my history sense went up, and I said, Dark Middle Ages? Such a thing doesn't exist. The Middle Ages weren't dark at all. The only reason Middle Ages were dark is because the Renaissance after, which you said made people smart, actually put out propaganda and made the Middle Ages look good. And then I turned around to my classroom and I said, by the way, people, you should know this, but The Middle Ages produced some very nice philosophers like Thomas from Aquino and Augustilius. We know this. We learn from this in philosophy. And then I turned back to him and I said, Sir, the Middle Ages, if they were dark, in our period of time, there is nothing. The Middle Ages were smart enough, and the thought of them being dark only came because of non believers. And second of all, if we do take a look at history, our school system, sir, there is a reason why most of our schools are Catholic. There's a reason for that. Because Catholic institutions in Belgium, because I live in Belgium, Catholic institutions in Belgium paid millions of dollars to our government to set up schools. It's because of Catholicism that everybody can go to school in Belgium. I don't know what you're saying. And he just gave up. He stood up and he went out. And I destroyed him once and for all. All right, guys. There are actually four statements left. Two of them are really complicated and need in-depth explanation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a second part video. It's gonna come out next week on Sunday. And I'm sorry, I really hate to do this, but the video is gonna be way too long. Um, Especially when you like normalize 10 minutes or less videos, so it's way too long. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope this is actually the main reason why I upload videos with my opinion in it. I hope it makes you think about what you think about these topics, whether you think about religion, what do you think about equality, what do you think about abortion. Like, all these topics are really important, and I just want to voice my opinion as to make have your own, not per se mine, just have your own. So I really hope that this is one of the things that like puts you forward a bit. um so I hope it worked. I guess I hope um you like can take this in, let it rest, and then make your own opinion. I also want to give a huge shout out to the teacher who donated the file of these sentences or of these statements to me. You very grateful. Otherwise, this video wouldn't exist because I didn't know all statements at the top of my head. I'm sorry. I did know the statements we discussed at the top of my head, but I didn't know all of them, especially the ones we didn't discuss. So I want to thank that teacher, and I only have one thing to say: Mr. T out.